Hello, Anna here, coming to you from Puerto Viejo, Costa Rica, and I am just popping on to talk a bit about indifference and how activating our creativity can allow us to move through that indifference and back into a state of harmony and balance and aliveness and surrender to life. So, okay, a bit about why this is coming up for me and my story. So in the Gene Keys, which I would really recommend looking into, I can leave the link below. Richard Rudd is the one who received this download, and it's incredible. And so in the Gene Keys, one of my keys is the shadow frequency. So there's shadow, a gift, and a city frequency, and in our lifetime we have the potential to move out of the shadow frequency into the gift and into the city. And so one of mine, the shadow, is indifference, and the key that is this one for me is the IQ. And so the IQ is basically the 7-year cycle from ages 14 to 21. And when I was 14 is when I was diagnosed with HASHIMOTO'S THYROIDITIS, as you all may have known from previous videos and other areas of my work, etc. And so it's been really cool for me to trace back this feeling of indifference that began long before I was 14, long before I was diagnosed, but to just see that pattern of indifference and what that is like for me, and to be able to now track it with consciousness and find ways to transmute that energy and to ultimately shift how I see that space of indifference from like being, just hating it, being disgusted by it, not knowing what to do with it, to seeing it as a place of potential that will allow me to ultimately come into the gift and city state. And the gift of the indifference gene key is versatility, and the city is mastery. So been really grateful for this framework of the gene keys. So indifference for me, what is this frequency of indifference? It is like absolute apathy, lifelessness. It is a feeling of just like being pulled down from the inside out, feeling so numb. It's numb. It's different than depression, because depression, it's like it's a different frequency. I'm very familiar with the frequency of depression as well, and there is a similarity there, but this is different. It's more of a freeze response where I'm like just completely frozen. There's nothing to express, and I'm also not like even upset. Like in depression, there's kind of I'm more of an upset feeling, but in this space of indifference, it's almost like okay, whatever, like kind of glazed over, like, but not whatever, not the kind of whatever, like I'm free and I'm alive and I'm living my purpose and I don't give a fuck, whatever. It's like, no, this whatever is there's something that's not being fully felt. There's something that is numb and being covered up, and ultimately what it feels like is it's the pain of not being fully expressed that I'm covering up in this freeze state. And I can now see these channels of expression that want to come alive when I'm in that state. I'm like, whoa, there's so many channels of expression that I want to express in. And this is where, the gift is versatility. And I used to either be just kind of shamed for that, of like, oh, like master or jack of all trades, master of none, like, come on, like commit to something, like whatever. But now I see that as a gift, to be interested in so many things and want to try this and want to try that and like have this zest for life. I see it as beauty. And when I shut it down, then that will take me into the catatonic state. So I want to continue to allow myself to be in the gift of like being adaptable. Being versatile means you're adaptable, and you can do one thing and then do another, and you're not ever stuck in a single rut. You're like, oh, I'm open to life. So I see all these channels of my versatility, and it can often feel overwhelming. I'm like, how do I express fully in all of these? I'm like, there's so much. How do I do it? And then I can get in the mind, and one of my shadows in a different key is intellect, and I can just like, whew. And so, yeah, I noticed that, and then go into freeze mode. And then that freeze mode is what the indifference feels like for me. Of just, it's like, okay, well, I don't know how to do all of them. I don't know how to be a yoga teacher and facilitate these menstrual blood ceremonies and then work with plant medicine and play instruments and then perform my poetry on stage and be in love. And like, so, shoo, I do nothing. I'll just do nothing. I'll just be here. Completely devoid of life force energy. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like a zap. And it can happen that quickly, too. It's not just like, oh, I'll be in this state for a few weeks of feeling lifeless and then I'll be alive for a few weeks. Sometimes it's that, but oftentimes it's like, oh, I'm here and I'm alive, and then and it's also cool to see how this expansion compression it can be similar to or expansion contraction is it can be similar to what Western medicine diagnoses as bipolar disorder or manic depressive disorder, which is something that growing up I also thought that I had. And yeah, and how it's also related to our menstrual cycles for those of us who have wombs. And even those of us who don't have physical wombs have an etheric womb and can have these highs and lows as well, which is really important to know. So yeah, it's cool to think about that. And to tie it into Hashimoto's, because I love to just track the ways that this disease of Hashimoto's manifests in all these different areas of life, and to just take a continuous approach of like breaking it down of how did this begin, why the fuck am I still taking these hormones, and when I don't, noticing how I feel devoid of life force energy. But even when anyway, more on that. But it's fascinating to notice the different patterns with this compression and with the full expression and the and so when I'm in a space of like aliveness and full surrender and feeling like I'm on purpose, there is this fluidity that's moving through my voice, through my throat, in my whole body. Like I feel more like on the earth. I feel more of an animal, like I'm actually here, like okay, like I'm moving, and I don't know how I'm gonna do all the things, all right? I don't know how I'm gonna fill all of these channels with my life force energy, but I know I'm on the earth and I'm like breathing a full breath. And then when I go into this space of indifference, it's like I'm not fully alive, like I'm almost like watching my life and nothing seems right because I'm in my head, like planning what it would be or how it's going to be or where I'm going to go or how I'll be received or who I'll work with. And it's like I'm not in surrender. Ultimately, I'm not, before I can allow myself to move into any channel of expression, I first get to be the channel of expression that life force moves through, and allow myself to be a channel that life force can move through with ease, right? Because that's always available to us, always. We are creators. And so this is where we tie in that creativity with how the indifference is what can bring us out, or how the creativity is what can bring us out of that state of indifference, right? Because we are creators. And so when we activate our creative potential, it will bring us into a state of harmony, into a vibrational alignment with the energy of creation. And that is what we want. That is where healing is. That is where pleasure is. That is where pain can be too. But when we're in surrender to it, then pain can feel good as well. And suffering is when there's a resistance to it and we're not in that surrender. But when we're in surrender, anything can feel like bliss. Anything can feel like just yummy and alive. And so, okay, so when we're in that indifference, of course, we can also, move our chi through movement, exercise, through singing, through dancing, through shaking, through orgasm, and activating our life force, eros energy, through connection with nature. All of these things, yes, can move us from that state of indifference, absolutely. And these are tools that I use all the time. And I have often found that even, using these different tools, even though they move me out of that catatonic state for a while, that I can come back and I can fall back into that state more easily than if I am also creating. And so, yes, use these tools. Yes, move the body. Yes, work with our chi, work with our eros. And when we are creating, when we're like activating that like cauldron in the low belly, where we're really like activating this cauldron, then that will propel us into the state of versatility and onto the path of mastery in this gene key, and into this space of deeper union with life and more embodiment of our animal skin, our animal blood, our animal bones. So how it looks like for me is when I'm in this state and I'm doing things like I did this morning, you know, because I've been in this state for the past few days. I just went through a big, powerful, transformational, sexual, shamanic, spiritual container, and have then been on my own for the past few days in this beautiful space, and been going to the beach and doing yoga and doing all these things, singing, moving energy. And there's been something where I'm like, bleh, like just bleh, something else wants to move. I'm like, oh, I'm not creating. And so today I noticed, and it felt like this little like thread, this tendril. And it is really, I feel it right here. It's like this just like tendril of, and just listening like, okay. And just kind of letting myself follow it like a little girl, like, ooh, all right, well, that feels good. Like, okay, so what is this? How does it want to move? Does it want to move through poetry? Does it want to move through dance? Does it want to move through creating a song? Does it want to move through designing a course for my business to share? Does it want to move through making a post online? Does it want to move through speaking and through sharing a video? How does it want to move? Like, what are my outlets of creativity? And a reason why I think this creativity can really bring us out of indifference is because it puts us back on purpose. And especially, I mean, purpose, creativity, creation, that all of us, our purpose somehow lies in creation. And especially those of us who are already in alignment, partially, fully, however much we want to say we are with that purpose and with that creation. We see how our creativity is super linked to our career and our purpose, etc. And so it can give us this higher guidance of like, I'm creating something now. Oh, right, that's it. Like this sense of relief of okay, I'm back on this path. I'm back following the river. I'm not holding on to the banks or trying to climb out and escape. I'm like, okay, on the raft again. And maybe there are rapids and it gets crazy, but like, it's still useful because I let go and I'm just saying yes to this path. And I also get to craft how I want to move through the river. Yes, because I'm a powerful creator. And so it's like, yeah, it just can slowly and sometimes very quickly. But I'm always just aware of like not, turning around too quickly and being like, oh, I was there in this indifference and now I'm here, because I've noticed that then can lead me back into the indifference more quickly. So I'm very like kind with the indifference and kind of just gently like guide myself out. And yeah, that energy of creation is like it's like this nectar, and it's like I'm holding soil in my hands and just kind of moving it around and discovering. I'm like, what's in here? Because yes, I'm creating and I'm choosing, but I'm also like searching and allowing through. It's an allowance. I'm allowing through the creative source energy that is me, that is beyond me, to just move through my vessel. So I am choosing and making decisions, and really just in that surrender. Surrender to purpose, while also listening and getting to be the one to follow the creative spark. So yeah, okay, so that for me is how the indifference can be transmuted. through creativity, through just it can fully move us out of that catatonic state by activating, because when we create, there is this sense of activation. It's like, oh, I'm bringing through this life force energy out of my vessel, right? So it's the act of creating, and it's also the act of like sharing and being seen and felt in the world, because that's part of it too with the Hashimoto's frequency. It's like, well, our throat chakra is all closed up, and so then we don't feel like we belong. We feel like we're chronically misunderstood. We're not like there's like if there were a circle, then we would be outside the circle, and the circle would be kind of like not quite fully alive because we're not there, and we're feeling that pain of the circle not being fully alive because we're not there, and we're also feeling our own pain of like taking ourselves out of the circle but feeling like someone else took us out, and then not knowing how to get back in but wanting to be there, but then not fully allowing ourselves to be there. And so there's this like just wanting to be plugged back into the circle for those of us who have Hashimoto's, but not knowing how. And we notice how we can be like, okay, now we're in, and then we're back out, and now we're in, and then we're back out. And like, how do I just like fully surrender to it? And it's a bodily pattern too that I've really gotten to notice in myself. It's so cool. This fucking Hashimoto's teacher, wow, so much learning, so much that I've noticed of like a physical body pattern of like, where I'm like, it's like just get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out, get it out. And it's not like you get it out once and then cool, now it's over. And I used to think that like, oh, let me just get it out once, let me just sing the song in front of everyone once, let me just do the poem once, let me just make the post, let me just connect with the person. It's like, oh wait, no, it's a constant life. It's a life of surrender. It's not a one-time deed that we do and then we're done, and then now like cool, we get to live without this Hashimoto's frequency. It's like, okay, no, it's a constant repatterning, and it doesn't have to be hard. It's actually what we want, right? We want to be plugged back into the circle. We want to be whole. We want to be whole, and there's such a deep patterning around safety and a lack of safety in tribe, right? Every single person, this is a blanket statement, but every single person that I have spoken to who has Hashimoto's, every single person I've encountered has a wounding around tribe, because most of us do, pretty much all of us. And wounding around feeling like they don't belong in their community or in their family or in their own self, in their own skin, and this feeling of being misunderstood and not being safe to have a family. So we've taken ourselves out of the circle, and in doing so we've also unplugged from our own life force energy and from our purpose and from our livelihood and just who we truly are. And we've shut down our throat chakra because we thought it wasn't safe to be ourselves. We thought it wasn't safe to be ourselves. We thought it wasn't safe to be ourselves. I will say this again. We thought it wasn't safe to be ourselves. And this is such an important key code for Hashimoto's. If you're healing Hashimoto's out there, this thing of like, you thought it wasn't safe to be yourself. Because if you have Hashimoto's, then you are a powerful warrior, witch, priestess, fairy, whatever you want to call yourself, on a powerful path of reclamation and of healing of our planet, right? And so you are someone who is deeply in tune with energy and here to listen even deeper to the body and to the plants, etc. And it wasn't safe for us and for our ancestors at times to be in such deep listening of the body and deep listening to the plants and deep listening to the drum beat and to sing our songs. It wasn't safe. So we get to honor that. We get to so deeply honor that. And now we get to say thank you for all the lessons. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now it is safe. Now I get to sing. Now I get to belong. Now I get to speak. Now I get to live my purpose. Now I get to be fucking seen. Now I get to be seen. I don't need to hide anymore, because we all know, those of us walking this thyroid healing path, we all know that we have had a pattern of hiding, that we have had a pattern of separating ourselves, and we need to lean in to let ourselves be seen and heard if we want to heal this. So anyway, this became a lot about Hashimoto's healing, which is perfect because it's all connected, but healing Hashimoto's, only a fraction of it is about our diet. Only a fraction. Yes, diet is incredibly important. Food is our first medicine, and so much of it is about our relationship with our emotions and our voice and how we express ourselves and how we show up and how much we let ourselves be seen, right? And Western medicine will tell you that either you need to take this pill forever because there's no known cause and no known cure, it just kind of happens, or oh, maybe if you avoid these foods and do this and this and this, then you can probably be fine. And I acknowledge the deep success of that for some people and fully respect it, and in myself too, definitely made diet changes, etc. And whew, the work of opening, of expressing, of letting ourselves belong and be seen and be active and alive and moving out of that indifference, activating our creativity and coming more into our passion and our purpose, that's where it's at. And also with that, as we're doing that, of course, we will be wanting to eat a diet that feels most in alignment with our body and with our healing. So they're linked. They're deeply, deeply linked. Yeah, so there's a bit on some Hashimoto's healing story time. And also, yeah, just some things about moving from indifference. I appreciate you watching this video. I like to create these videos that are a bit longer, so thanks for anyone who tuned in. It's been a while since I've shared on here, and so I would love your support, especially if you are a conscious human, conscious womb bear or not, and you want more of this, just let me know, because I am traveling for a while and I want to create more content if folks are interested. So please do let me know, and you can connect with me on Instagram at embodyinganna, EMBODYINGANNA. You can find me over there, and feel free to reach out to me if you want to know more, or if you're interested about my offerings and working with me in the future. Sending you so much love. Mwah.